Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are featuring Aquaman from the McFarlane DC Multiverse. Alright, so right now it's April 1st, 2022, and it's exactly 1:03 a.m. as I'm recording this video. So it's been a long day, but I wanted to get this video done. I received this action figure earlier this afternoon. It took a while to get. I actually placed a pre-order for this when it was first, when pre-orders went live, maybe like a few months ago. And then it shipped out from like Amazon in California, and it took like the entire week for it to get to me. So I'm excited to check this out. I'm extremely tired, but this is a figure I was really anticipating. So let's get started. Right, so first off, the figure looks great in the box. It's awesome how he has this giant trident. The proportions of the figure is kind of throwing me off because in the box his legs look really long. And this one thing, I can't stop staring at it. It sounds funny, but I keep on staring at his crotch just because he has all these wrinkles right around his, I don't know, right around his area, right around his junk. So this kind of like this, it looks weird. Maybe it's just me being slap happy because I'm so tired, but every time I stare at this figure, my eyes just immediately go to his junk because all the wrinkles around his crotch. I don't know, but maybe that's just me. So this is Aquaman, as he recently appeared in the Justice League's miniseries Endless Winter. It's kind of like how Aquaman's looked the past, I don't know, maybe like 2 years. It's kind of like a throwback to his old costume, but he has like, I don't know, the long hair and the beard and everything going on. Great picture on the back. It's funny because it's like he's like photoshopped with like what appears to be maybe realistic sharks, which is kind of throwing me off. But it's a cool picture nonetheless. Some of the other figures that are currently out: Superboy Prime, Lex Luthor in the green power suit, Reverse Flash, the other version of Batman Beyond, and the Hazmat Batman. Alright, so let's get this guy out of the box and check him out. For one, I'm really excited because I love it when we get comic book based figures. Recently we've been getting a lot of I think movie stuff, especially with the new Batman movie. But I like it when we get like comic book characters, but also ones that kind of look a little bit more on the iconic side, like this color scheme on this Aquaman with the scale mail and, the green tights. It evokes a lot more of, the classic Aquaman. Like, for me, some of my favorite Aquaman costumes are the ones that were a little bit more different, like the ones during the mid and late 90s. I loved Arthur when he only had the one hand and he had, the hook hand. For me, that was, one of my favorite periods for Aquaman. I was also a big fan of Aquaman prior to the New 52. I love that look a lot. Alright, so we get the trading card, and we also get the figure stand. And first impressions of Aquaman while he's in the tray. It's a fantastic looking figure. Like I said, for whatever reason, as I'm looking at this, it's like my eyes all of a sudden get drawn to his junk. It seems very weird that he has all these wrinkles around where his junk is at, and I can't stop staring at it just because there's no wrinkles on the side, but it just kind of all this kind of I don't know, focuses on his junk. I don't know, I can't unsee it. I gotta take the trident out because it looks really badass. And as I did, some of the paint actually flaked off and stuck to the tape, as you can see right there. So it's a soft plastic rubbery material. Mine's a little warped, but you can easily fix that with some hot water. Alright, let's get Aquaman out. One thing I'm noticing about this figure as I'm handling it is that immediately as soon as I took him out of the box, my first thought was, I love that head. It looks like it'd be a great like Thor head. It almost kind of looks like Chris Hemsworth a little. One thing I'm noticing too, I didn't catch this earlier, Aquaman suffers from that McFarlane side eye. As you can see, he's not looking straight on at you. His eyeballs are kind of looking out towards his right. And that kind of bothers me a little. I don't understand why all their figures have to have that weird side eye. I'd appreciate it if, they gave us alternate heads. But, if you're only getting one head on the figure, I'd prefer it if his eyes were just neutral and staring straight forward. It's a nice sculpt. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, so let's pull back a little and take a look at this guy. As I stated at the beginning of the video, it kind of feels like proportion-wise, his legs, I don't know, I'm not sure if they seem too long or if it's, I don't know. There's something throwing me off with the legs. I can't tell what it is. It almost looks like his lower legs are super long, whereas his upper legs are maybe too short. And one thing I just caught just now, which is kind of odd also, is that on his foot here, let me get this into focus. You can see the pin right there. It's kind of weird. I've never really noticed it on any other figure before. Probably because the pin is black. So it's kind of odd that they just wouldn't use like a green pin. Because now that I'm staring at his feet, it almost looks like their eyes and his feet are like, I don't know, like snakes or like salamander heads or something. Yeah, I can't unsee that now. It looks like his feet is like some sort of lizard and those are the eyes. And again, like I said, for some reason, I just stare at his junk because it's like there's no wrinkles or folds on the side, and all the detail and focus is around, like, it's not even like he has a good bulge. It's kind of like, it's just, it's just there. Okay, enough about that. I like the scale mail on his armor because it looks to be very asymmetrical. It's not like Captain America's scale mail where all the lines and layers of scales look really even and precise. This has almost like the appearance of like a goldfish, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure if that's necessarily intentional, but it's a look that I could kind of dig. It almost looks more like dragon scale than like, like the scale mail armor that like Captain America has or Aquaman's had like portrayed in the comic books. You see, if you look at it very carefully, it's very uneven. Some of the scales are smaller than some of the other pieces, and they're not even rows. I like how his hair is sculpted. It's really well done. The sculpting on the face, though, it seems a little, not that it feels soft, but it doesn't feel like there's as many like lines and wrinkles on his face as there should be. Like it's not necessarily like a photorealistic sculpt. It's kind of like a in between like a comic book interpretation and an almost realistic sculpting of a person, if that makes any sense. The beard's really well done. You know, the sculpting on the hair is really nice. A lot of fine lines and strands. Long flowing hair. It's throwing me off also because it's kind of like I'm so used to like a lot of the other McFarlane figures. You know, they'll take embellishments and they'll give like usually like a fine micro texture where there really isn't one. And for me, the figure feels a little disjointed. Now, this is just my opinion, but it feels a little disjointed just because, you know, his upper half, there's so much detail going on. You know, there's a lot of there's a lot of fine strands in his hair. The scale mail looks really detailed and fantastic. The belt buckle has some nice relief on it. But then as soon as you come to the gloves and in his pants, it's like it feels like there should be some sort of texture there. You know, it's just really just smooth and it's just plastic looking. You know, if you look at some of the other McFarlane figures that we've gotten in the past, even the ones that are based off comic book designs, the designer will take a couple of liberties and they'll like either apply some sort of micro texture or like even a faint pattern on the material to make it look a little bit more, you know, maybe something out of a movie or a little bit more realistic. Granted, this is based off of a comic book design, but it just feels, at least to me, a little bit disjointed. Like his it seems like there was so much focus put on his upper half than his bottom half. You know, it seems like it was kind of like the lower area was more of like an afterthought. Or what's throwing me off is maybe it's the material. Like his scale mail, it kind of has a nice glossy, semi-glossy sheen to it. Whereas his, you know, this looks like just plain plastic. You know, maybe if this shared like a similar sheen or if it was more of maybe like a satin finish, it might look better. But it just looks really plasticky compared to the top half. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on the figure because I do like it a lot. I think it's a really nice interpretation. It's really well done. In terms of the articulation, his head rotates. His arms rotate. And then you can even see the additional butterfly joint. It's kind of like a ball-socketed butterfly joint that McFarlane figures have. This one's nice. It affords a lot of range of movement. His head doesn't look up, and this looks forward, looks down a little like that. It's unfortunate because I would appreciate it if his head could tilt back further back. You know, even though you know, Aquaman's more so relegated to the water, it'd be nice if you actually get him like in a diving pose or like a swimming pose, where his head could actually tilt back. But, you know, he's just looking forward. So I think that kind of hurts the figure there. He has a bicep swivel. Let's get him back into focus. There you go. Bicep swivel, double pinned elbows, wrist articulation. The nice thing with this figure is that, you know, usually with some McFarlane figures, you get that horrible, like, ball joint between the hand and the wrist. But this one, it does a better job of covering it up at the cuff or where the gauntlet's at. Mid-torso swivel and also waist swivel. You can arch back pretty far. So, wow, that's pretty far. Yeah, so for the fact that he can arch his back, like, ridiculously like this, almost makes up for the fact that his head can't tilt back. And then he could, like, how far could he crunch forward? Unfortunately, he doesn't really want to crunch forward. His legs could kick. Well, I gotta say, these are friggin' sharp. Every time I'm handling it, I'm, like, poking my finger. Yeah, so just a word of caution. These points, they don't look like they're sharp, but, man, they are. So his legs could kick up pretty high. Wow, if this guy was in the NFL, this would be like my punter right here. Really impressive there. Kicks out pretty full splits, more so. Double pinned knees. be careful of this. Like I said, this is really, really sharp. It keeps on like poking me. Extreme toe articulation and extreme ankle articulation. If you wanted to get this guy in like in a swimming pose, all right, this is where I kind of feel he needs another hand. So both of his hands are gripping hands, so he can hold his trident. But it'd be nice if he actually had like, you know, swimmer's hands, like, you know, where his hands are kind of more like flat, so he could like, you know, create maybe like a swimming pose. Let's try to get him in some sort of action pose here. Get his trident in his hand. Yeah, so it's a really nice figure. I'm liking this a lot. You know, between this and Martian Manhunter, I think, you know, they really hit the ball out of the ballpark with some of these recent comic book guys. Yeah, this is a great figure. Liking this a lot. Visually, I think this guy's like almost perfect. Like I said, I have some issues with like the lack of texture on the green parts of his uniform. But for the most part, you know, this is pretty accurate to how he looked like in the comic book. Let's take this out. I'm kind of curious if this hand is reused from something else because it has a trigger finger. Oh, that's a tight fit. It's kind of odd that McFarlane figures have trigger fingers just because they don't come with guns anymore. So, and his hands don't want to open. This is annoying. Try to get this in. There you go. All right, let's get Arthur in a nice pose. I'm really hoping we get more characters, you know, from the Aquaman side of comic books, like maybe Mera, Black Manta, Aqualad, Orm. What are some of the other characters' names? They kind of escape me at the moment. It's the dude that, it's that one dude that kind of like took care of him as a kid. It's not Vulcan. It's like, begins with a V. Maybe it is Vulcan. Yeah, so great figure. Liking this a lot. All right, this video is running a lot longer than I thought it would. I think I kind of just got lost just handling them. So if I had to rate this figure numerically on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know, easy 8.5. This thing doesn't really disappoint. It's a great figure. Yeah, this is a wild figure. I like this a lot. You know, it makes me really wish I could like disassemble like a full comic book inspired Justice League. We've gotten some comic book based Batmans, some comic book based Superman. I don't know if we've gotten a comic book based Wonder Woman. We've had the Gal Gadot one. We've had the McFarlane one. I don't remember if we've gotten a comic book one yet. We have Martian Manhunter. I think we've gotten a comic book Flash. Who else on Justice League? We've gotten Green Lantern. Yeah, so I think for the most part, unless there is a pretty solid Wonder Woman based off the comic books, I think you should be able to assemble like the core Justice League right now in comic book form. Granted, this guy's from Endless Winter. I don't think you're gonna be picky. You know, if you combine some of the other Supermans and Batmans with this guy and Green Lantern, you know, either Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan, you have a solid lineup of JLA characters. So, Alright, so I'm hitting the 20-minute mark on this video, so let's wrap this up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And Aquaman and I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.